Most of us probably know that Clash Royale's got this red barrier. I'm calling it a red barrier because I think both the Clash Royale community and Supercell hasn't yet given it a cool name. And this barrier just tells you where you can't place your cards. But did you know that cards also have their own sort of barrier to them? And here it is. Oh, it's because I chose the wrong card. Oopsie. Well, now you should be able to see it. As said, it's not the exact same barrier as on the arena, as while the card is engulfed in red, there is a white exclamation mark to keep it distinct, I guess. And in fact, almost every card in the game has this barrier. I mean, this barrier is on small cards, medium-sized cards, big cards, buildings, air cards, champions, evolutions, heroes, and the towers, surprisingly, as well as invisible cards and cards that can't even move. Now, the reason why I say almost every card is because spells, they don't have this barrier, which does actually make sense once you actually understand the mechanic, which I'll get into soon. But they do have their own sort of marker when you try to place down the spell, so I guess they have their own type of barrier. Now, some of you watching probably already know about this barrier, so why am I labeling this barrier as a secret mechanic? Especially considering you'll most likely see this marker every game. And the reason why is because I've heard no one talk about this thing. I've watched hundreds of Clash Royale videos, and I've not seen a single creator talk about this. And it's not like it's a mechanic that's easily understandable like HP or range. And it's not like it's a secret mechanic like weight and true red and true blue. And in my opinion, once you learn how this mechanic works, you'll probably find it really useful in most of the games you'll play. Which is why in this video I want to explain how the mechanic works as best as I can, and also explain how it can benefit you in matches. But before we get to any of that, let's just answer a simple question. How do I get this marker to appear? You get this marker to appear by hovering your card over your opponent's card and or cards. Basically, the period before you actually place down your card. Now, you can only really get this marker to appear this if the cards are attracted to each other. So obviously, hovering my knight over this balloon doesn't make the marker appear, but if I instead place down, say, an Inferno Tower, then the marker will appear. Now, you probably thought this was all the mechanic was. Nice, but only if you didn't know which cards were win conditions. But that still doesn't explain why the ghost, despite being invisible to your troops, still shows the marker. So there's obviously something going on here other than cards being attracted to each other. And you might think at first it's the range of the card, as when I place the knight right when the exclamation mark appears with the musketeer, then the musketeer instantly starts shooting. But again, that doesn't explain why melee cards still have the marker, even when I place the card far away from its range. So it can't be that either, but what could it then be? Well, what if I told you it's actually both examples I gave, but at the same time? Because this marker refers to a secret stat called sight range. It's basically the range where the card is attracted to other cards and towers. You can think of it as the distance of the card's sight. Let me give you an example of how this could work in an actual game. After a quick search on the Clash Royale wiki, we can see that the P.E.K.K.A.'s sight range is 5 tiles. As we can see here, the P.E.K.K.A. is standing 6 tiles away from this cannon. And because the P.E.K.K.A.'s got a 5 tile sight range, that means the marker doesn't appear, and that means that the P.E.K.K.A. won't go over to the cannon. But in this example, I placed my cannon 1 tile closer to the P.E.K.K.A., so now the marker will appear because the P.E.K.K.A. is around 5 tiles away. And that means when I finally place down my cannon, then the P.E.K.K.A. will go towards it because it still showed the marker. Now, this might not sound immediately useful, but let me show you an example on how this can be really useful. So let's say that your opponent plays a balloon by itself, and you have a building in cycle, but you don't remember where to exactly place your building to attract the balloon. But that's where the marker can come in handy, as if you place your building down when the marker shows, then it's basically guaranteed that the balloon will go over to it. Although it obviously isn't 100% guaranteed to go over to it, as if you place your building too late, and or it's attacking something else, then it's obviously not going to attack your building. But as long as you place your building a few seconds after you've seen the marker, then it's basically guaranteed. Although guaranteeing is all the marker really does, as you don't need the marker to appear for the cards to go to each other. And that also extends to the other use case the marker has, and that use case is for buildings. You see, buildings don't have a sight range, the only thing they have is a range. So instead, the marker indicates the range of the card. Take for example this interaction with a Dark Goblin and an Inferno Tower. You see, the Dark Goblin outranges the Inferno Tower, but just like the balloon situation, it can be a bit tricky to know where you have to place your Dark Goblin to counter the Inferno Tower. And that's where the marker comes to help. If you place the Dark Goblin when the marker shows, then the Dark Goblin gets cooked. But if you place the Dark Goblin when the marker doesn't show, then the Dark Goblin will outrange the Inferno Tower. And this goes for every building interaction. So even if you're unsure that your card will outrange the building, it's at least best to put them when the building doesn't show the marker. And that should be about everything you need to know about the marker. I do think it's quite weird how people consider sight range a quote secret stat, even though the sight range of literally any card is clearly visible before you place down the card. And what's weirder is that this marker isn't something new that got added in 2022 or something. No, it's It's been in the game since the very beginning. How beginning is beginning? Well, how about the first time we saw the game beginning? In the first look gameplay reveal trailer, you can clearly see these markers when they're about to place the cards. So ever since this game launched, you could clearly see how the developers wanted to show how cards could be attracted to each other. And I think the weirdest thing about this marker, it is that the game never explains it to you. And while you could say the same thing about a lot of things in Clash Royale, just the fact that the game clearly shows it to you in pretty much every match, and the fact that I've never heard anyone talk about this thing or explain this thing, makes me think that this marker is a secret mechanic. But with that, thanks for watching this video, and I'll see you guys next time.